What up? I said, what up? Welcome to episode number 2 of Triple Feature. A special episode because this isn't going to happen a lot. These are 3 movies I saw in the movie theaters. And if you don't know, I really dislike movie theaters, and I had hoped COVID would have wiped them out for good. So close, yet so far. Hopefully, eventually, it'll go to the wayside. Ironically, I think probably all 3 of these movies are on streaming services by now, but I actually did see all 3 of them in the theaters. I'm not lying. Did seeing them in the theaters make my experience any better or enjoyable? Nope. And first off, I want to say, if you guys have been enjoying this series, even though it's 1 episode in the quarter you've watched this one, I think you should probably hit that subscribe button and notification bell, because that would be really dope. Anyways, I also want to say that the 3rd episode of the series will not be a triple feature. It will be a special episode because a certain movie is coming out this Friday, or just already is out, that I want to do a single review of, and you'll learn why when I do it, but I might have a special connection with the filmmaker of said movie. But for the 3 movies that we're about to cover today, they're all horror movies because you find out I like fucked up movies, and I go to the theaters to watch the fucked up movies and see the people react to said fucked up shit. Not a lot of fun reactions that I can recount from my experiences watching these 3 movies, but that's alright. These movies weren't exactly blockbusters. Well, I guess Nope is to a degree, but I didn't get a great audience for it. Maybe of a better audience. Actually, it was decent. There was a couple good reactions, and they all came from me. But, so moving into our first movie, we're going to do Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Which, the first thing I want to say about it is an A24 movie, but it really did not have any, weird or crazy, twist to it. Like, when you say A24, you think it's like, oh, it's going to be an arty-farty movie. It's going to be, all in Old English, like the Witch. But no, this is a pretty straightforward movie. Really well filmed, really well acted. Everything about it is crisp, like you expect from the A24 brand. But nothing crazy. It's a really straightforward movie. And I've seen a lot of people compare it to Scream as being a good capsule of the generation. And I think to a character extent, yes. To a story extent, no. I think more story-wise, it's comparable to The Hateful Eight. A bunch of people just in a single location, and they all do some crazy shit. Because that's what this movie is. It's a bunch of, I guess, millennials? No, Gen Z? One of those generations just doing some funny, goofy shit while they all get killed eventually, because this is and then they were none type script. And I think the greatest part of the movie is the ending. I don't think that spoils it at all, because there was a bunch of reviews for this movie, or trailers with reviews in them, that said, you can't wait for the end. When I first saw that, I'm like, alright, sure. And then when I saw the ending, I'm like, no, yeah, this ending really makes the movie. And it's probably the first ending in a long time that really stuck with me. Even afterwards, in driving in the car to go get dinner, I was still thinking about the ending and, vocally reacting to it. I'm not going to say how I vocally reacted, because that might be a spoiler. But it is a amazing ending, and I think it could get our first instant of a primo kino display, because the ending is some real primo kino. And then the one other aspect I want to point out is the actors. The main girls are the Maria Bakalova from the Borat sequel. She played Borat's daughter. She was pretty good. The other girl is Rue from the Hunger Games, which I wouldn't have recognized in a million years until I saw it afterwards, and she's also very good. But the girl I want to point out is the Jewish girl. How do I know she's Jewish? Because she looks very Jewish. And that's not offensive, because the movie she did before this was a very Jewish movie. How do I know it's a Jewish movie? Because it's about a kibbutza, or a mazel tov, or a chutzpah, or whatever you call those things. And she deserves our very first instance of the baddie, because that girl is a baddie. And I know I kind of swore off Jews for a while, but she got me back in the game. And overall, I think you will enjoy this movie if you are looking for a simple slasher that's well filmed, well acted, well edited, good script. There's no fluff or craziness like A24 movies usually have that either give it like a huge audience score or a really low audience score. This is pretty straight down the middle. You'll enjoy it if you just want to like laugh at a bunch of dumb TikTok users. Oh shoot! I almost forgot to mention my arch nemesis Pete Davidson. He's alright in this movie, except for the moment when he just devolves into his stand-up set, and that's kind of like funny, but I guess that's just his stand-up, because it literally sounds like he just wrote some of his material into the dialogue. He's like, hey, can I put this in here? Because I know it's funny. And he's like, my dad died in 9/11. And he sounds like Christopher Walken. But no, Pete Davidson is fine in this and really contributes to the ending. All right, our next movie is The Black Phone, starring Ethan Hawke. And the first thing I want to bring up with this movie is its tone. It has a very serious tone and also like a nostalgic tone, a la Stranger Things and other like 80s cash grabs that came after Stranger Things. But this one feels more authentic, like it's an actual movie that came out in the 80s that just happened to get found in a vault somewhere and released now. And I really did enjoy that aspect of it because it makes all the kid actors not feel like kind of caricatures of 80s kids, like from the Goonies or whatever. They feel like actual 80s kids, dialogue and all. I really want to highlight the sister character actor because she steals the scene every time she's in said scene. And she has some great laugh out loud moments. And these moments aren't like funny punchlines or whatever. It's just like the dialogue, the way she delivers it. It's very realistic. It's like in the moment, but it's funny. It's funny in the way how a kid can try to be funny when, you know, your brother is possibly has been kidnapped and is possibly murdered. But all the characters act relatively realistic. The dad character is kind of a scumbag piece of shit, but like he shows shades of forgiveness. He has problems. Really just tough situations all around for all the characters. The most silly character is probably one of my least liked moments from this movie, which also kind of is a moment I don't like in the following movie that we're going to discuss. But the main bad guy, Ethan Hawke's brother, is a character in this movie, and he's just like a weird, like, goofball, kind of like coke addict guy. He feels out of place. It's almost like he was written in because Scott Derrickson owed a favor to the actor. The actor is Ziggy from The Wire. If you've ever seen The Wire, you know that the Ziggy is a fucking asshole who always fucks things up. And he kind of does that in this movie. But the actual characters, like I said, the dad, the cops, they don't behave like buffoons. They're not like, I can't solve this. They actually are able to piece together clues that make sense, but they're not like geniuses who like Sherlock Holmes it together. All the characters that we meet at the school, the bullies, they bully in a realistic way. It's honestly kind of violent at some points. And the climax of the movie, it like just showcases a really well-crafted script. It's based on a book by Stephen King's son, and there's lots of elements of Stephen King in this. Obviously, the 80s, children, asshole parents, all Stephen King elements. So I guess the son isn't that creative on his own. But the movie version of it, it puts it to screen well, which not a lot of Stephen King adaptations can do. And the climax, like I was saying, it really pieces all the script elements together in a way that leaves nothing unturned. No part or moment or character was wasted. It all comes together in the end. And that's the most you can ask for from a horror thriller script that's just neat, tidy. And Ethan Hawke, I didn't mention, is a great villain. He might get a Globe nomination. He definitely is at his best when he's angry. His nice guy character is also really good, and I guess I should have mentioned that he never shows his face in the movie. All his characters are classified by what mask he's wearing, which were all created by Tom Savini, who I guess came out of retirement to do this. But so he has to do a lot of acting without showing his face, and that alone should maybe warrant a nomination. I guess we'll see. He's great in it. Really spooky villain. And we're going to go into our final movie. I was going to do these in chronological order, but I wanted to save Nope for last because I have a lot of things to say about Nope, because a lot of people have had a lot to say about Nope. So I kind of want to respond to a lot of the criticisms and praise that's gotten. And here we go. Nope, Jordan Peele's new movie. One of the first things I want to say is I'm going to go deep into details and spoilers of this movie. I didn't want to do that for the other movies because I know less people have seen them. But for this movie, I'm definitely going to go into spoilers, so warning. I should probably just give my general feelings real quick before I get into spoilers. You probably already saw this on my Twitter, but I really enjoyed the first 3/4 of the movie. I by far think it's Peele's scariest movie, and I think the ending makes it fall apart, which doesn't ruin the whole movie. I think the first 3/4 still really stand on its own. It's not like the fourth quarter was like that bad, but I have a lot of issues with it. So let's get into the spoilers. Starting off, one of the things I saw a lot of people on Twitter and the universe of the online world talking about was the stand-up shoe in the monkey attack scene. Well, I will let you all know right now that is just a creepy visual. It doesn't mean anything crazy. It is literally just a creepy visual. I bet Peele thought, it would be really freaky if a shoe was standing up. Yeah, that would be just something unusual. It's not the bad miracle that you guys are talking about. How would a shoe standing up be a bad miracle? It's... Anyways, and how would it even fit into the theme of the movie, which I do want to say I've seen a lot of people speculating on what like the theme, the motif of the movie is. Alright, I guess first of all we'll get into what the whole movie means, because you're talking about the monkey problem at all. It's like, why is this monkey thing even in the movie? How does it have to do with the alien or whatever? Well, I don't think it's an alien, but we'll get to that. I think that the movie at its core is probably the viewers and their acceptance of violence and horrible things as their main form of entertainment. Like, they don't really enjoy just normal, banal things. They want the next thing. They want the most extreme thing. They want something that's real, like in their face. But my review really isn't about this. Whatever you think, it's probably something that Peele probably had crossed his mind, whatever, during the filming. But to get into other like smaller details, all of the stuff that I loved about the movie before we get to like the last quarter, which I have a lot of issues. So first of all, like I said, I think it is probably Peele's scariest movie, and I might be biased because I think aliens are freaky as shit. Anything that has to do with aliens scares the fuck out of me. And Signs is probably the scariest movie I've ever seen, so that just is a little context for you. The scene where Sunglasses at Night plays is fucking amazing. I think it deserves a primo keynote. All of the jump scares, although they're not a lot, are really well executed. The Mantis one, the one of Steven Yeun's kids, are all great. And especially the non-jump scares are also great. Like just seeing the UFO object moving between the clouds silently when it eats all the motherfuckers that are at Steven Yeun's little show are great. And I do want to say what I mentioned earlier, that I don't think this UFO is a UFO. I am 100% convinced that it's just an animal that exists in the world of the movie, that's on Earth, that's been on Earth for a long time, and only now being seen by humans because maybe its supply line is growing thin, kind of like a lot of animals in the rainforest where all the habitat gets turned into fucking condos or whatever. And I think this is most obvious by the fact that it is a organism that needs organic material to survive. And in space travel, there's no like oxygen or carbon-based life form to like feed on. So unless it can hold its breath or starve itself for a long time, which clearly it can't because it eats a lot in the movie, it's something that's been on the planet for a long time. I think that's also proven by its like final form, where it's like this giant, crazy, fucking flowy, drapey thing that is kind of like its peacock mode. I said this when I was describing it to a friend. It's kind of like when an organism is like challenged or it wants to like spread fear. It feels threatened. So like a peacock will brush up its feathers. In this instance, our UFO animal thingy turns into what people have been saying is like a biblical angel. Like, fuck off. Where in the Bible does it describe an angel looking like flowy, abstract drapes with an eye that looks like an old camera that's like silhouetting crazy colors and like an acid trip? Like, what the fuck? Anyone that's trying to put weird like biblical or religious themes in this movie can fuck all the way off. Anyways, let's move on to all the problems I had with the ending, because everything I said before, the movie is great, the actors are great, the characters themselves have fun, clever dialogue, and all the scares make me really, really tense leading up to this finale, which I don't really like. I think the finale kind of is a miss. And I will say that there was a clear shift in tone after they leave the house when the alien drops all the blood on it. It kind of becomes more of an adventure movie as like they set up their plan, kind of like Tremors kind of slowly becomes an adventure movie rather than a horror movie. So they come up with a plan. Even Jaws to a degree, because we know what the threat is and we're going to band together and defeat it. And I think what is the biggest issue with this movie is that the fact that Jordan tried to stick too close to his like big idea or theme of viewers wanting to see like the most horrific thing, because the big climax is just getting a picture of the beast. It isn't like killing it, even though we do kill it. It's getting it on camera. So what goes into this climax is there's not really any big sense of like threat. I'm not like worried about any of the characters until the characters start acting stupid. Specifically the cinematographer character, who like loses his mind for no reason. I guess you could say it's because he like wants to get the perfect predator prey shot, because earlier we've seen him looking at like predators eating prey. He's like really into that, so he wants to get like the ultimate predator, getting the ultimate prey, and then he dies for it. And like I don't think anyone's gonna get that footage, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And it like factors back into his, you know, that dream where you're standing on the mountain line. Like, it was just some random dumb line that Peele probably thought, like, that would sound dope if our character said that. He's like, you know what, let's have that actually go into the movie. I do think Peele got a little too into himself in this final act. So after he does get killed, we have Keke Palmer still wanting to get this fucking picture of this stupid fucking alien, even though it's gone all crazy peacock mode. And actually, I should point out beforehand, the finale with Keke Palmer is only because we had Jordan Peele introduce this weird TMZ character that's like the most out of place thing in the entire movie. None of the jokes landed for me. It just felt like really like, it felt like maybe SNL skit comedy or even improv, which I know is ironic because Peele had one of the greatest sketch comedy shows of all time. It was really like out of place, and that just gets us the bike that Keke Palmer can do her crazy finale act on. And what's the crazy finale act? It's killing the monster with a giant balloon of Steven Yeun and then actually getting a picture. So what the thing that we're supposed to be the most excited for is Keke Palmer finally getting a picture of the alien so she can be rich and famous and sell it to Oprah. And I just wasn't that invested in them being really rich and famous, because the fucking cinematographer got like the craziest shot of all time with it like sidewise chasing OJ, following like the crazy wacky inflatable tube man. Like that is the primo shot, and they probably could have dug around and found the fucking camera after the alien spit it out because it doesn't digest non-organic material, and then got that. But we need this like really shitty shot to call back to the well that costs quarters and it takes photos really slowly. And it's like a really shitty shot. Someone's probably gonna say, that's Photoshop, that's not real, man. And that's our exciting conclusion. I think the conclusion should have been, we got the shot, now we're in fucking trouble because like the alien switched to peacock mode, we need to kill it. So the cinematographer shouldn't have gone crazy, and then we should have had them all banding together to get like an idea of how to kill it. And this is one of the biggest issues I had with Logan Paul's review of the movie, which was really lambasted all over the internet. People like really went in on him, and he even mentioned the shoe, which I agree with him on the shoe, and that I think everyone thinking it has meaning is retarded. Retired artist. But he did say that like, how does this alien that traveled light years know not to eat a giant balloon? But I think that, like I said, that it's like an animal that's been on the planet. It has some level of intelligence, like a monkey or a gorilla. Like, they know how to use tools and whatnot. But if they see a mirror in front of them, they're like confused. Like, is this a separate version of me, or is this another gorilla, which is what they usually think, it's just another gorilla. Like, they don't really understand like human creations that mimic normal things that occur in the environment. So it really does make sense why he eats the horse that is like the fake horse, and why he eventually dies. I'm calling it a he. I'm sorry for misgendering you, Mr. Weird alien, not alien thing, fucking whatever. So it does make sense how he dies, and that's a bad thing that Logan Paul mentioned. But a lot of his review really wasn't that bad. With people calling him the worst thing to happen to film review since Roger Ebert lost half his face, well, and the other half because, he died. I don't know. I don't know film critics at all. I think the best film critic is me, by the way, so you should probably, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for this next movie review, because this episode is wrapping up, and our next episode is going to be a special one-time deal showcase spotlight episode on a brand new movie that just came out.
For my life, can't say that, girl, don't tell me you could say that shit. All she want is payback for the way I always play that shit.